Hello and welcome to Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician Podcast, where we join you 5 days a week to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. If you've listened to us before, then you've heard that a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen. I mean, this is episode 63. So there's a potential that you've heard that 126 times now or more. I know it's twice a show, but I'm not counting. Joseph, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great. It's one of those things where it's a Friday, and even though I absolutely love what I do, it also happens to be Cinco de Mayo, which means that there are some tacos in our future. And what day isn't better with tacos?
I annoy the shit out of my family because every time it's Taco Tuesday, I sing, "Just give me something to taco about." It's kind of my thing. And it's not original. I think Will Ferrell did it first. But I want to point something out. If you're listening to this on the podcast and not on the inside in our Facebook group where you catch it a day early live, then it's probably May 3 days ahead of now, and it's probably Monday.
It's all good. Well, if anything, by Monday, we're all nursing our taco bellies. We're probably all right.
Either way, this is Optional Friday, and we got some good stuff for you today. If you haven't heard us before, I'm your host, Clay Newmeyer. This is my esteemed co-host, Joseph, the sales bot Lucani. We're going to put that sales bot name to the test again today as he provides us with options, not just the option to work or not. That's the play on words we like here, Optional Friday. Could take it off, but should we? I don't know. We didn't. But we're going to talk about smart switches, how to leverage those in building your 6 options, hopefully, right? Could this be useful? And how could it be useful for all the entrepreneurs out there to make more leverage of the smart tech and how to use it intelligently?
You can tell I'm starting to froth. I'm loving it. Okay. I'm getting my gear going on. All right. So the thing is this, there is technology out that can do literally anything at this point. It doesn't matter what it is. The odds are, if you can think of something that needs to be done, the odds are that someone has already made it, whether it's URL listed or not. But I guarantee someone has made something that's going to do what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The problem is that we unfortunately don't know enough about it to use it. And even if we've heard about it, a lot of us are like, well, I haven't personally messed with it, so I can't offer it to a customer's home.
And isn't that a big problem on its own, by the way? If we could stop there and take a second with that. If we're speaking to a majority here, which is a majority that's wearing too many hats as it is, excuse me if I cut out a bit, recovering from a cold, but we're wearing too many hats as it is, right? These guys already have so much to do. So if you haven't experienced it, you're already out on your own. When do you get that first chance? When does that come? When a customer requests it?
I mean, the thing is, actually, yeah, that's the real point though. Because the thing is that if you're wearing too many hats, there's a concept called sell it and then build it, right? Like some people build and they say build and then they'll come. I personally believe that we should look at ways of creating solutions. And then once we figured out how the solution can be done, then we sell it.
Absolutely. I love that. I actually had a mentor. I think we touched on this yesterday a little bit, maybe not in the podcast, but it was said. I had a mentor teach me that in the last year. And electricians need to hear this. They need to build a foundation on this because we are guilty of trying to be perfect, trying to get everything right. But here's what happens in the essence of product or service design is we spend so much time building something up. Oh, if I had this vision, if I had that thing, if I had that product, that program, that certain service, that club membership, I think was an example from yesterday. If I just built that perfectly, everyone would buy it. No, like so my mentor taught me, whoever said, build it and they will come, that's a bit of a mess. It's backwards. Sell it and then build, mother effer, is actually what he said, direct words. He said ucker in there after the effer, but hey, that's okay. I'll try and keep the swearing to a minimum.
I appreciate
you get back to it. Thank you for letting me jump in there.
No, it's totally fine. And I was going to say, it's one of those things where because we're afraid of coming up with new ideas, we unfortunately end up boxing ourselves into the same corner where we're doing the same job that everyone else is doing. So I want to create a scenario that every single one of us have been in. And I want to explain how smart switches and smart technology can actually get you past it without actually overly charging the customer. So sometimes people say, oh, I know these technologies let us charge more. Well, sometimes they can, but you can also make smart technology your economy option that allows you to get the job in the first place.
Ooh, interested now. Let's hear it.
Okay. So let's take the typical ceiling fan installation, right? I love using these because there's so many applications that it doesn't matter where you want to use it. How many of us have gone into a home where there's a ceiling fan attached to the ceiling, but it's just pull chain? Whether it means that there's constant hot in the ceiling or something happened where there's no switch on the wall, it is just pull chain. Does that sound like something that the typical electrician should run into?
Yeah, got it in my house.
Right? Well, then, hey,
Mechanics
you
have the
can.
worst car, electricians have the worst wired homes. Okay, it's either the
Yep.
best or the worst. One of the two. Mine's definitely on the lacking side.
Oh man, I was gonna say I went the other way with it. Like I have all the smart control door handles and all the security systems we ran because I love smart tech sometimes.
Yeah.
But back onto the point. So let's say you know that this customer is going to come to you and say, I want to have it where it's controlled by two switches. I want one switch to do the fan. I want one switch to do the light. That makes a lot of sense. And that would be a better way than just offering a remote, right? Like the remote is your bare minimum, bare bottom option. Because if you offer a remote, now you're saying, okay, that remote has to be wherever the door is. They can't ever take it off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to lose it. And if that relay ever were to go bad, it no longer does anything at all. Or if the battery dies, it can't do anything at all. So your relay, like this, like remote, should be the very bottom. What would be a more reliable solution? They actually make relays, and I'm going to stitch it, hopefully, maybe even get a sponsor from it in the future. We worked with a brand called Insteon. Insteon is a great brand. I honestly didn't have a lot of issues with them. But what they made was they actually made fan relay remote kits. And what it would do is it was a remote box that would go inside the fan. And what it would do is it would allow the switch on the wall, which had a 120 power source, to control each individual relay. And it was rated for the amperage for a larger fan, which meant that you didn't have to worry about burning out a relay or burning out a controller like you would with a remote fan. So what you can do is you can have it on the wall, whether it's controlled by a 120 control switch or it's controlled by a wireless battery powered switch. So the benefit is that let's say you didn't want to cut the walls and you couldn't snake under the floor and you couldn't snake up the walls because for some reason it's in the living room and there's a finished room above it. Your real only option is cutting the walls there, right? But in this scenario, the fan comes down, the relay would be installed, one where the line goes into the switch leg, one where it goes into the fan leg, and the corresponding switches mount to the wall. You can make them match any other switch in the room. So the benefit is that you can have them in Decora style, you can have them in toggle style, and now they're mounted and they match everything else. Just that alone, wouldn't that look nicer than having just a remote that's been screwed in with two anchors?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I know there's electricians listening to this right now that are thinking, well, yeah, that's old news. We've been doing that. Yeah, we already have that. But let's just spend a second here on the importance and highlighting that you got new customers every day. And I guarantee you they don't know that.
Very few do. Very few do. So let's say, what can we do to build the options in a typical way, right? So you have this same customer, and I'm going to teach you how to use this smart technology to make your 6 options with this kind of scenario.
Whew.
Right?
Big value giveaway this optional Friday. Here we go.
I know, right? So you have the typical ceiling fan, and the customer has said that I want you to cut it in where it's got 2 control switches. It would make sense. The best possible thing you can do is have a hardwired line. Obviously, regardless of whatever you're going to do, you want to make sure that you can have it because then there's no possible chance of failure. If you want to go even further, if the situation justifies it, you could offer to run a new circuit. Doesn't always justify it, but if it did, you could. So our top option is we are going to put 2 variable control switches on the wall, one dimmer for the fan one dimmer for the light. You can mount it on a 2-gang right next to the door, or if you want to go even better, put it into a 3-way control on the opposite side of the room.
Nice.
Now you're going to physically cut the wall and you're going to trench from that location up the wall, across the ceiling to your box. That box could then have a beautiful escutcheon attached to it. You're going to use the actual dust sealing or fiberglass sealing techniques that we teach about. Then what you'll be doing from there is mounting it, and you can do multiple things with this smart technology. You can offer built-in Bluetooth speaker bulbs, which, if you think about it, now whenever the lights come on, that bulb would automatically sync to your customer's phone, allowing them to have speakers and phone conversation if they so desired through their living room through built-in speakers.
Yeah.
Well, nice little upgrade that doesn't cost a whole lot. Right?
Added benefit while the partner's there and while they're away.
Exactly. There you go. Right. Win-win-wins. The second thing then is, now that you've established that, we already know that you're putting in probably a higher end fan. I want you to provide the fan rather than the customer have to do it. At the very least, what's stopping you from going to lightingdirect.com and simply just saying, I'm going to pick up the fan with you? Let us order it, because when we order it, we're going to do all the warranties, because who knows how it got shipped here? Who knows how it got carried into your home? But I know that if it comes directly from the manufacturer, we're going to treat it with care. And if something happens, we're going to honor the warranty. Top option goes into place, and you say, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Big piece.
Now you've got, was that?
That's a big piece there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Taking ownership of that for them. I think a lot of people miss that those are options.
Mm-hmm.
Them or us.
You're right.
I'll let you keep going there.
No worries. Yeah, I was going to say the brain juices are flowing.
Yeah, you got it. Stay in flow state. Here we go.
Got it. You could also, depending on the quality of the fan, because if you get your Casablancas, or even if you would, your big ass fan brand, some of those have sensitive electronics built into it. Would it not justify offering an electronic safety system for that system?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you have any kind of controls, or you have the Bluetooth speakers, or you have any of the things in place, you're not going to plug it into a surge strip. So the same thing that would damage your washer, your dryer, and your furnace would also damage this. It'd be unethical to not tell the customer otherwise. So, very option, you offer it. You can also offer painting and spackling. You just cut the wall. That was on you. So are you going to leave and have the customer say that they're going to take care of it? And then you expect them to write a 5-star review and refer you for a seamless white glove experience?
Many would, but I don't suggest it.
Mm-hmm.
Effort and sacrifice, right? And time delay, not to mention. If you could have
Exactly.
someone in your back pocket and get that stuff done for them, it's a much different experience.
Correct. Then beneath that, you can also say, well, what would truly be white glove experience? Why don't you offer them a first-class service membership, to where you're going to come back a year later and you're going to make sure the fan is properly balanced? If there is any dust, you're going to redust it and you're going to reapply all the compounds that keep the fiberglass out. You can retest all the bulbs and all the equipment to make sure that there's nothing that fell out of sync. And if nothing else, you make sure that the paint didn't have any nail pops when you were working on it.
Whew.
That's a top tier option, right?
Ton of traction there.
That's the finest that you could possibly do.
I want to plug that membership for a sec. Can I do that?
Go for it.
Because earlier I mentioned the membership, and now I'm recalling where it came from yesterday as we were celebrating a win on the inside with a client who's been with us for 38 days, and yesterday sold their 6th club membership. Mm-hmm. They've never had that program before. They did try to perfect it in the past, spent way too long trying to build the thing up, came in, took hours, the very thing we give away for free, ran the play, and have sold 6 in just over a month, 38 days. Big shout out to Alan and his team on that one. But also, you guys can do that too. At that rate, looking at maybe 50 first-class members in this business, that means 50 thorough inspections, 50 repeat visits during slow season, assuming that comes, right? Having that stuff booked out. And how many of those are going to buy something else?
It's consistent. It's so consistent, because you have a customer that says, I like you so much that I'm going to put down $300 to $400 up front before you've even shown up to my home. And I'm going to lock myself in to say that you're going to be my exclusive provider for the next year. And then you find something wrong in their home. Like, I'm not saying we're looking for problems just to sell them. We're looking for problems to prevent them, because sales isn't something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone. Our
Absolutely.
role is to lean on our electrical expertise to say, this is what's going to move this customer's life forward.
Absolutely. And I don't think it would be right of me to drop that plug and not tell you guys how to take advantage of that. So, once again, if you join or if you're already joined to our Facebook group, all you got to do is go to this post or on the wall anywhere and type in front door.
Mhm.
Just by joining the group, usually we've sent you that, but it's called the front door value piece. And that includes our CSR script to get selling these club memberships, really help
Yep.
you in a big way. That's it for this advertisement on Service Loop Electrical and the Electrepreneur podcast. I'm going to let Joseph get back to it.
No worries. All right. So, BrainLink. Okay. I'm back with it. Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, we described our top option. There are things that we would remove in order to get down to the more relevant stuff we're talking about, such as, okay, we're not running our dedicated circuit, or we're not going to do the painting. The customer will do the painting. Maybe we do the finished spackling, or no, that we're just going to put the sheetrock back up. No, we're not going to do the surge protector. No, we're not doing the Bluetooth speaker. Customer buys the fan. Like, there's all things you can do to lower this number, right?
Yeah.
But where we thrive on the smart technology is where the customer were to say, well, I have someone else that told me they could get a fan from Home Depot with a remote and they're going to do it for $100. Why should I pay you $500 to do it? And this is the justification. When I can make a system not only look like it's meant to be there, I can make it reliable, I can make it safe. I'm doing it as a licensed, certified, and white glove experienced electrician. It doesn't matter what the product is. You are the product. This product that we're offering right now just helps it communicate to the client that you're going to operate at a higher level. So
Yeah.
the way you describe it is, well, I completely understand where you're coming from. But here at Service Loop Electrical, we've actually also designed more economical options that you had in mind. It's probably more in line of what you were originally expecting. But let me explain of what makes it better. Or you can even say things like, well, I can understand that some people could be doing it less. Would you like to know why so many of our customers choose to use us even though we're more?
Yes, please.
Right? So now you're walking through the options. Now, let's say you're talking about option 4, 5, and 6. Now, your option 4 would then be, well, we're going to provide the ceiling fan. We'll put the fan up for you. We'll keep the existing wiring, but instead of having a remote control, I'm going to install a wireless relay, or a relay that is controlled wirelessly, that is going to enact the fan speed and that is going to enact the actual light control. I'm going to now have those wirelessly synced to 2 switches that are going to be mounted, same floor height, same everything, same switch style, everything out the room, so it looks like it matches. Plus, the benefit is if those switches are 120 controlled, like let's say you have something in place, they never need to be charged. The relay itself doesn't need to be charged either, because it receives its 120 from its current feed source. So, provided that there's no electromagnetic interference, there should be like lead line paint or whatnot, or you're near an airport tower or something like that.
Yep.
There should be no reason why this fails. And I've actually done this before, to where when you describe it to the customer, you can say, listen, I did this whole technology wirelessly, and you tell me if you can tell the difference between whether it's hardwired or not. And they often couldn't. So the
Nice.
factor is you're able to give them an experience that they've wanted without having to say, I'm going to gut your walls to do it the right way.
That's
Right?
important to some.
That's a pretty big thing.
Yep.
Now, there's other situations where you can even go even lower, because as you mentioned, there are some customers that say, you know what, I want a little bit less. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to tap off an outlet to get your 120 source. Maybe there's not a safe circuit you can tap off of. They actually make the switches themselves that are battery powered, where they have up to a 2-year lifespan on them. All they require is a micro USB for, I think, 15 minutes worth of charge, and that powers a 2-year charge on.
And the
Meaning,
inconvenience of charging it.
yeah, I know. But you know what? the factor is that they still were able to get, like, imagine what it would cost you to do this. I'm
Yeah.
going to put one fan up. I'm going to do the same amount of work as just a, fan control relay. It's going to go up into the ceiling. It's going to be all enclosed. You're not going to hear any switches or clicks. I'm going to have it on the wall. But now those switches that are wirelessly controlled, those are going to be battery powered, meaning that you can put them anywhere that you want. You could have it next to the customer's desk. You could Velcro it to their desk. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you're able to give them a certain level of control and convenience, and explain the only thing you'd have to do is every 2 years, plug it in 15 minutes. Am I wrong to you to offer that?
Not at all. That's a
Usually answers
fantastic
no,
option.
right?
Yep.
Believe it or not, in addition to this, the range is pretty significant. So what I found is I've done this particular style of wiring in multiple different facilities. The only time I ever had a problem was when we were working in a bed and breakfast that had been constructed in the early 1700s. It was a historic complex. And what we found was that they actually kept their lead line paint, because you know how some buildings will say, well, we're going to tear everything down and then put up sheetrock. They just built it on top of the plaster.
Add a
So you
layer,
had
extra
3/4 inch
insulation.
sheetrock. Then you had your plaster and lead line paint. Then you had your air gap. Then you had your brick exterior. There was no signal that was going to go through there. It's not going to work. You'd have to put it on a repeater both sides of the wall.
Yeah.
But in almost every other circumstance, I found it had up to a 500-foot range.
Wow.
Meaning that you could take this and you theoretically could even put it outside the room. Or the customer could take it, because some of the actual wall controls, you're able to pick up and move off the wall. Meaning that it looks like a switch, but it operates like a remote. Now your bottom option, so we have option 4 is doing everything that way. Option 5 is doing it with battery controls. And then your bare minimum is customer provides the fan with the remote and you install it. That's it. That's the difference. In other words, your bottom option is what? What does it cost? 1 hour, and there's no warranty to it. They provided it. If that remote ever failed, what would you do? Like if a customer bought a fan and their relay stopped working 2 years later, that's not on you. You didn't build the relay. You didn't buy it. You didn't provide it. You just installed it.
Yeah.
But when you say, I'm taking care of this project turnkey, and you're installing a higher quality product, which is allowing you to have a better warranty attached to it, you can give that white glove service without having to break the customer's budget.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. One thing I noticed, Joe, and maybe you should help us out with this quick, is you called the bottom option number 6, not number 1.
Correct.
Why?
100%. Oh, you're setting me up on this. Okay, cool. I was wondering, I was like, hey, I was like, come on, buddy. But yeah, so the benefit is that when we present our solutions, we want to create ranges of premium, mid-range, and economy. We want to make sure that people understand this is the finest that money can buy, and I don't expect you to take it, but I wanted you to know that as a professional, I have an obligation to let you know what the system could need both now as well as in the future. With that being said, I did make more economical options that are more in line of what you probably were expecting. All I ask is just choose what you think is best for you and your family, and I'm okay with whatever you want to do, right? Yep. Now, as you're presenting it, you show them the best options first. If they say no, that's fine. Great choice. Let's get rid of it. And you keep scaling down and down and down. There's also a psychological principle to this.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. One is that imagine I'm your friend coming to your home because you want me to do a favor, right? You're like, hey, I want to put a fan in my daughter's room, right? Can you come help me on a Saturday? Would you expect your friend to say, you know what? You buy the fan, you buy all the wires. I'm just going to staple it to the ceiling. We'll run Romex or Carflex on the sheetrock, and we're going to plug it into an outlet.
Seems like the friendly way to do things.
I know, right? Like, but the thing is that that's what a lot of people do. Not saying that's a really bad job. I'm saying we start with the cheapest, thinking that's what people want. The problem is that once we start with a cheap option and they say no to it, you're screwed. Because how could you go up when they've already said no to that number?
Yeah.
But what you did was you said, this is my best choice. I don't expect you to take it. As a professional, I have an obligation to let you know what this would look like if you truly wanted it done the best way.
Yeah.
And then you explain it to them. This is the safest. This is the most reliable. This is the most convenient. This is the most white glove service I can provide you. It costs X. If they say no, that's fine. I'll have 5 other options that are less of an investment than the one I just told you.
So important. Big
Mm-hmm.
value giveaway. Did I interrupt your flow? Were you going to keep going there?
Man, I was going to say, I'm actually kind of glad you stop my flow every now and then, because I feel like when it comes to making options, there is so much to give and there's so many designs and there's so much logic and psychology and wording and placements that it could be a 3-hour podcast and I wouldn't even realize it.
Yeah,
So
100%.
thank you for actually pausing me when you get a chance.
Yeah, no, it's a good length here already today. So, how can we really turn this, summarize this now, and build a couple of action items for people? I mean, I've got a couple things in mind, but this has really been your show, the Optional Fridays. I want to give this to
Sure.
you and honor your space here. So, please
Well,
set
thank
us
you.
up with the first action if you can think there.
So the first action I would say is a 2-part assignment. The first is, don't ever assume how someone wants to spend their money, right? I've gone to homes that have been, I literally thought, I was like, this is a trap house. And I'm glad I'm carrying, because this is a terrible place to be, right? But at the same time, those people buy premium investments. And I was floored. I've also gone to multi-mic mansions where I'm sitting there and the guy is addressed. He had a servant that addressed him as he was walking down the stairs as master. And I'm not saying his first name because someone might know him, but literally he was announced as Master Blank as he was walking down the stairs.
Wow.
And the guy was the cheapest dude I've ever met. So the fact is that never, ever, 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 ever assume how someone wants to spend their money based on how they look, what their home looks like, and what their demeanor is.
Yeah,
Always be willing to show them the best and the worst. You do that, you're more likely to get the job.
I like that.
That's the first half of the action assignment.
Yep. And that's not a new one either. We have talked about this before. Guys, if
Mm-hmm.
you're hearing any of these on repeat, probably means there's some validity there. Little
Mm,
self check, right? I'm
exactly.
really hoping this all star action includes putting devices in their vans.
Oh, it gets even better than that.
All right, let's go.
So we're actually, it's a 3-part assignment. So the first bare minimum was never say how someone's going to spend their money.
Yeah.
The second thing was, you can't install something that you don't know anything about, right? Like, how could you come up and say, oh, well, there's a wireless relay that exists? If you don't know, then you don't know. And that's okay. But every single one of us is forced to go to these code seminars multiple times a year to maintain our licenses. And who is always there? The product dude, the guy with the magazine who's giving away free bags of material. When was the last time you talked to him? When was the last time you didn't just keep your eyes down and be like, don't talk to this guy, he's going to want to engage? Pick up a magazine. I guarantee those classes are boring as hell. And if you ever needed some quick reading material that's electrically rated, you at least can look at the material that you can start offering. And you'll find things in there that are like, oh, I would never thought to offer this. This might make something easier. So step 1, never assume how someone wants to spend their money. Step 2, be willing to go out of your way to at least learn something new. Just
Love it.
pick up a book, YouTube something. If you have a question, write it down and then look up the question.
Yeah, great spin on that one, by the way. All
My
right.
pleasure.
You had one more?
I did. The
All right.
all-star action is a little bit harder, but it requires a measure of faith. The all-star action is put it in your own goddamn house. Now, what I mean by that is this. If you can say, imagine going to a customer and having the credibility of, hey, I've never seen this technology before. How do I know it's reliable? Well, would you believe me if I told you I can pull out pictures on my phone or videos of me actually using it in my own home, and that I've had trouble-free operation for this for the past 3 years? Wouldn't that be an insane credibility boost?
Absolutely. The
Wouldn't-
Mercedes dealer should drive a Mercedes to the deal, right?
And in addition to that, you have to mention one, you'll look more confident because you'll have already have done it. You'll have all the time you need to read up all the YouTube videos or the instruction manuals in the comfort of your own home. And it establishes the fact that you believe in it enough to put it in your own house.
Yeah.
If you can do that and you do all three things, you will be drastically more successful.
Absolutely. And Ted in the group made an example of this too. He said the shoemaker's children should have the nicest shoes.
They're
And he
not
was
wrong.
saying that back when I was saying that my electrical is suffering in my house. But you guys, I am a master electrician. I can tell you what is not suffering in my house, and it's my kids' business intellect.
Mm-hmm.
Last year on the beach, we started a selfie service because they were bored, and they made $20 in 20 minutes taking pictures for people. So we're starting businesses everywhere over here.
I love
But
it.
the example is so true, guys. You got to know how to use it. You should have it, and that'll make it that much easier. Tons of praise for you today, Joseph. Was there anything else you want to add it on before we finish this one off?
No, and feel free. We can wrap it up because I have a feeling this is going to be more than one episode going forward because there's so much smart technology. We just talked about two relays, one that goes into your fan and one is the switch that controls it.
And you did it so well. Really helpful, guys. If you got some value from this, please let us know what stood out. And you can leave that review either on Facebook if you're on the inside with us or where you heard it first. Reviews help a lot. If you know someone that needs to hear this stuff to help elevate their game, do a little better, serve their customers at a higher level, get a higher average ticket, have higher revenue, have more profitability, all the above happens when you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. I'm Clay Newmeyer. This is Joseph, the sales bot Lucani. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you again next time.
Y'all take care.